Hey everybody, welcome to Oak Creek Homestead. Here's another weekly garden tour. Just let the chickens out so they're flapping around, but let's get started. So here's an herb garden update. This is all spinach. It's called tatsoi spinach. It's gonna get these really beautiful big leaves. We've been harvesting it a little bit. We've also had some issues with, I think they're slugs. So we've been using some diatomaceous earth every so often to help combat that issue. But you can see back here I've planted some marjoram. This is lemon basil that I planted right in here. These tall little things are tarragon that came back from last year. Back hidden in there is our bee balm coming to life. I've potted up 2 rosemary plants I purchased from local nurseries. Then in here, there's all sorts of things. There's kohlrabi, we've got some Swiss chard, we've got all sorts of greens growing that are probably, even in there, probably about ready to start harvesting. Planted a purple basil the other day. These are just some flowers. We'll see what happens. They weren't doing very good in their container, so I planted them. They come back great. If they don't, that's okay too. Our sage is doing amazing. I've already been harvesting that and drying it. This is our pineapple sage, oregano. Back here, there are more kohlrabis and greens. I just kind of planted intermixed in there, our tricolor sage. This whole section over here is lots of green. So these little clumps are called corn salad, or sometimes called mosh. We haven't harvested any yet, but they're really taking off. They're probably planted a little densely, but we're just gonna let them go and enjoy them when they're ready. There's some kale in here. Back in that corner, I planted a lemon basil. And then over here, this is the section that you guys have been seeing a lot. It's really filled in. We've been harvesting our bok choy, so I wanted to show you how we did this. We have been harvesting in a cut and come again method, where we basically cut the whole head off just like an inch above the ground. You can tell these are leaves that were once cut off and now they are growing back very quickly. So we have a couple of bok choys that we've harvested and they've been really delicious eating. And then in here, this white stuff is actually some of the residue from the diatomaceous earth that we've been spraying to keep the pests down, because these guys are getting eaten. But anyway, these are some daikon radishes, more lettuces. There's radishes in this little line, and there's some beets there. We also planted some of our pink celery starts. I'm gonna see what happens with those. It's my first time growing celery, so if you have any tips, leave them below. Here's a head of romaine lettuce that we purchased from the grocery store and we ate, and then I tried to plant it. So we're gonna see what happens with that. It's a little experiment. This huge plant you see right here is lemon balm. Again, I've been harvesting this, putting it in my water during the day. We've been drying some, just a whole bunch of things going on. We've been harvesting this every day, and you can't even tell. It's amazing. Over here, I have some German thyme, which I grew from seed. This is a lemon thyme, which I purchased from a nursery. Purple basil, which we grew from seed. And then this little cluster is escarole, kohlrabi, some Swiss chard popping up in there, and tons of radishes. So this is our French breakfast radish row, and it's doing awesome. We also have some other radishes we've been growing. But basically, this is just more of the same. Bok choy, lettuces, greens, lavender plants looking great, and then over there we have 3 rows of radishes. You can tell the missing hole right there. So there's little people that's been picking it. Greenhouse update. It's overflowing. The goal for this week is to get most of these plants in the ground. We've started the hardening off process, and we will take it, plants out today, let them spend all day outside, and continue to build up their exposure to the sun so that we can plant them soon. It's like a jungle in here. Isn't that crazy? It is. It's really crazy. But for right now, here's our loofah gourds. So I planted 6 seeds and we have 4 of those 6 coming up. So loofah gourds grow loofah gourd, which then you dry and make into loofah sponges. So that's one reason we're growing that. Nasturtiums in here, some other herbs and spices. This is in addition to our garden this year. We're growing a mint bed. Now I know y'all are going to tell me I should never plant mint in the ground, and I'm probably going to regret this. But for this year I wanted to get these in the ground. We have chocolate mint, peppermint, spearmint, and sweet mint. And then last night I also purchased a variegated pineapple mint, which is going to go somewhere in this bed, maybe right in there. See, have to get it planted today. We have just a few things to show in our main garden bed. These are some of our sugar peas. We really need to get a trellis in here. You can tell they're starting to hook together. We need to get a trellis in there. We need to finish mulching to keep a lot of that grass down. That'll be our goal for today. Then our first tomatoes we planted on May 1st, which here in Zone 5B is a little bit risky, a lot risky. We went ahead and did it because these tomatoes were not looking great in their containers, and I thought, well, if we plant them and they die, okay. If we keep them in their containers and they die, then we never knew if we would have been able to save them. So we planted 3. These are 3 Romas, and then you can tell in here in between the tomatoes planted some radishes. Last little video for today. Our rhubarb is getting eaten by something. You can tell all these huge holes. I'm not quite sure. Probably slugs. You can probably spray it. You can tell I planted 2 tiny little marigolds on either side to kind of help the pest control. We'll see if that works. Strawberries. There's a zinnia back there. Lots of strawberry plants. Lots of really pretty flowers. Let's see if we have any baby strawberries forming. We do. Do you see that? A little strawberry. So maybe within a couple weeks we'll have more strawberries. We'll see. Well, that's all for this week's garden tour. We do have our raspberries growing quickly, our asparagus is going to seed, and we have a few more seed starts down in our grow room. But this is the bulk of what's happening right now in the herb garden, the greenhouse, starting to be in the real garden. Thanks for coming along on our journey. Thanks for watching us.